Hello friends, welcome back to a new video tutorial on Excel. Today in this video lecture, we are going to learn how to use Freeze Pan tool in Excel. It is a very useful tool and it is used when we have a huge volume of data. Suppose we have a lot of data and we try to see the data by going down in Excel sheet, then we find that sometime our heading is disappeared whenever we go down in Excel sheet. And it also happens that sometime whenever we try to go in the right side by dragging the scroll bar, then we are not able to see the very first column in the Excel sheet. In that situation, we use freeze pan tool available in the Excel to freeze our headings or the columns so that whenever we are using the huge volume of data or data which are more in quantity, in that case we can see or clearly understand which column denotes what value. Suppose we are going down, in this case we can see that now the heading is disappeared. It is going upper side and it disappears when other values of the table comes in the screen. So to resolve this issue, we will use freeze pan in Excel. To use that, first of all, suppose uh, how we will use that? That freeze pan tool is available in the view tab. Whenever we click on the view tab, we have this here freeze pan tool. This freeze pan tool will be used to freeze certain heading or certain row or column so that we can properly view the data available in the Excel sheet. So let's see. Suppose I click on this, I go in view tab and I go in freeze pan. And suppose I click in freeze the top row. What happens whenever I click on the freeze top row? You see a gray line appears here whenever we click on the freeze pan. So what is the effect of clicking on or selecting this menu? It happens that we see that this heading, which is on the top, got freezed. So whenever we are going, when we are going down, we can see that that first row is freezed and it is not disappeared while we are going down. So in this way, we can freeze the first row in the data sheet. Okay, but as you can see, this is the first heading. But as far as our data is concerned, this is not very relevant to just freeze the first row because the main important thing over here is the heading. So whenever we are going down, our heading is getting disappeared. So to resolve this issue, what we are going to do is suppose first of all we are unfreezing the top row. Now we are going to click over here, and after clicking here, I will go again in this freeze pan tool and I will click the freeze pan. So you can see when I click on this freeze pan, and since I have selected this row, so all the row before this row will be freeze. So now when I go down, you can see this that I can now see that headings are also freeze. So this is very useful. So to use the freeze pan button, you will have to remember that if I only want to freeze the top rows, then I will have to select the row. That row before that row I want to freeze. Suppose I want to freeze these two columns, these two row, then I will have to click on this one. in the third one. If I want to freeze these first two rows, then I will have to click on the third row. So when I click on the third row, which means that I am giving instruction to the Excel that kindly freeze first and two row because I have selected the row three. So in this way, I can freeze the top rows in the Excel so that whenever the data is very voluminous or where we have a huge volume of data, we can just freeze the first or second row or, or the row till which we have the heading so that we can easily see, review the data, and whenever we are um, doing some work with the data, we will be very much aware that which column is denoting what value. So this is the way we can freeze the rows or certain yes, rows or column. But here in this first example, I have just explained to you that how to freeze the rows. Now let's move toward the another example where I will show you how to freeze the first column. So first of all, I am going to unfreeze this. So here in this table, when I will click on the freeze first column, what will happen? This row first column will be freezed. So suppose this here presently nothing is freezed. This seed is normal. So if I go in this view tab and click on this freeze first column, what will happen? You can see there is a gray line now appearing in just after the first column. So this means that first row has been freezed. So when I go in the right side, okay, you can see that first row is still visible, which means it is freezed. So suppose now you have understood two things, and the last and the final thing is that suppose in this data sheet, I want that these first rows should be freezed and even these first two columns should be freezed so that I can also see the name of salesperson while moving toward the right side. So this can also be done in the Excel in one of the simplest way. And how we can do that? How we can do that is very simple. You will have to, you must remember that when I told you that if you want to freeze first two row, you have to select the third row. And if you want to freeze the, suppose you want to freeze the first two row, then you select the third column. Sorry, third row. In the same way, if you want to freeze the first two column, you will have to select the third column. So whenever we are trying to freeze the third column, for first two column, then I will have to select the third column. In this way, suppose I am going to select, I want these two rows should be freeze, and I even want these two columns should be freeze. So what is the intersection point? This because whenever I when I click on this line, this cell, it indicates that these two top rows would be freeze and these the first two columns would be freeze. So when I click on here, it indicates that these top two rows will be freeze, and even since I have clicked on this cell, these two first columns should be freeze. So this is the intersection point. So when if I click here, it means that these two will be freeze and these two will be freeze. These two rows and even these two column will be freeze. So I will click here and I will go again in the view tab and I will go in freeze span and I will click the freeze span, which means that these two column will be freeze now and these two row will be freeze now and these two column will be freeze. So now let's see. As I am going down, you can see that these two rows are freezed, and if I go in the right side, you can see these two column are freezed. So I hope with this small video lecture you have entirely understand the concept of freezing rows, freezing column, or certain rows and columns simultaneously. Thank you for giving your valuable time.